And I feel the time's a ways to go. So where you going for tomorrow when I see... Hey friends, how's it going? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and today I'm going to show you how to play an acoustic version of Plush by the Stone Temple Pilots. Okay, so here's the timestamps. If you know what you're looking for, you can jump ahead. For the next minute or so, I'm going to give you a bit of context and everything. Then I'm going to start with a playthrough of each section, right, to sort of put it all together for you, and then I'll explain how to do all the chord shapes and the strumming and all that stuff. So before I get started, I'll say that I'm going to try to keep this as approachable as possible, right? I'm not going to be hung up on capturing every single little nuance that the STP guitarist is doing. I'd rather just give you a sort of strum along version as much as I can. This song is tricky. There's lots of chord shapes you're going to need. I think the biggest thing I'll show you to make this easier is I'm going to show you an easier way to do this dreaded E flat major 7 chord, right? This is a chord shape that you'll see most people teaching the song use. This is actually what the guitarist is playing, but there's actually a much easier way to play it. Okay, it's only 4 of the strings, a lot less stretching going on. I'm going to explain all that, so stick around if you're interested. And again, playsongnotes.com is where the notes and tabs for everything I'm showing you are available. And there's also a link to a nice PDF if you want to print that out or just keep it around on your computer, a laptop, iPad, whatever you have to use when you're not watching this video. It's a great way to learn. So thanks to all you who support me on Patreon, through the tip jar. It's very much appreciated. But with that said, let's get into this lesson. Again, here's a playthrough beginning to end. If you like what you hear, stick around and I'll explain everything for you. And I feel the time's a ways to go. So where you going for tomorrow when I see that these are lies to come? So would you even care? And I feel it, and I feel it. Where you going for tomorrow? Where you going with the mask I found? And the feeling I feel when the dogs begin to smell her was a smell alone. Where when the dogs to find her, got time to wait for tomorrow to find it, to find it, to find it. Where when the dogs to find her, got time to wait for tomorrow. Find it, to find it, to find it. Okay, so let me show you how to play all of that, right? So first up, we're going to start with this intro, okay? So we'll zoom on in here, right? Now this intro is nice. This is really approachable. So if you just want to learn this, it's great because you only have the thinnest 3 strings and it's only using a couple of your fingers here. So it's nothing too crazy going on. There's 4 chord shapes we're going to use for this intro, right? We're going to be on, again, the thinnest 3 strings. And the first of these is basically going to have our pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. Our pinky is actually going to be here for all 4 of these chords. Okay, so the first chord will have our ring finger on the 3rd fret as well of the 2nd string. Okay, so open 3rd string, 3rd fret, 3rd fret on the 2nd and 1st string. That's the first chord. The second chord here, from the 3rd string down, it's going to be 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. Okay. Now, what I do, and I recommend this in that I do it having played around a bit with this, is I use my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string and my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And my pinky is staying where it was. Now, the reason I do this is because it makes the next chord easier, that is. The next chord, what's going to happen is these 2 fingers, basically, it's almost like we need to do this. We need to move them up, right? but that creates this really weird stretch. Right? I can't really do that. So what I do for that third chord is use my middle finger on the second fret of the third string and my index finger on the first fret of the second string, right? So then we have second fret, first fret, third fret, okay? So again, the first three chords. And then we're gonna do this. And then that's the second chord. For the third chord, instead of sliding these fingers up, what I recommend doing is basically moving your middle finger there and putting your index finger there. So 1, 2, 3, okay? Take that slow, 1, 2, 3. And the fourth chord is the easiest one because it's just the pinky finger, right? Open, open, third. Okay, so those are the four chords. The first thing you want to do if you're learning this song is just learn and memorize those chord shapes. Be able to play them. Don't worry about rhythm yet. Don't worry about strumming. Take your time. There's no rush. You want to get your fingers trained to know where to go, okay? Start with the first two. Just go back and forth, right? Then add that third one. Maybe go between the second and the third one, right? Then that fourth one, okay? And going back from the fourth to the first one is simply putting your ring finger down. So once you have those chords, the next part will be bringing in the timing of this thing, okay? And the timing is gonna look like this. Basically, we're gonna have this pattern of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we count measures with 4 beats each, it's gonna be the 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're not gonna play anything on that 3 count, right? 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so playing that would sound like this. For the first 2 strums, we're going to be on that first chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, a couple things I'm going to note here. One is when you do this second chord, you really want to make sure you do not play the 4th string. Because if you do, it's gonna really sound dissonant and really kind of kill the vibe that you're going for. So what I kind of like to do is after the first chord, 1, 2, 3. On the 3 count, I'll sort of bring the palm of my hand into the strings to silence them. And then I'll go to that second chord, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One hint with this is with the G, the first chord, you actually can strum that 4th string. And it sounds pretty good because basically we're just doing, that's a G chord. You could play all 6 strings if you wanted to, right? But the important part is that if you do that, you need to make sure you don't let this D string ring out for the second chord, okay? So, and then the 3rd chord, and back to the 4th chord, okay? Now at the end here, there's a little tack on we're gonna do where we're basically gonna go open second, or open first second on that 2nd string. Open first second, and then we're gonna go back to that 1st chord, start it over again, so. Okay, and what I have tabbed here is you're gonna basically play those thinnest 3 strings. And that's going to be on the 3 and 4 counts. 3 and 4, and then you'll start it over again. So the whole thing would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. To end the riff, you're basically going to, on that last 4 count, you're just going to strum a full G if you want, right? Basically, that's going to be how you end it. You're not going to do this little walk up. You only do the walk up if you're going to repeat it. And then the final thing I'll say about this, the final little trick, is you can kind of bring in some like little extra strums if you want, like this, right? so that's going to be the intro to this song. Those are what you're going to need. You're going to need that basically after the chorus as well. So, and at the very end of the song too. So you want to learn that one and you'll be in good shape. So next let's look at the verse of this song. So the verse again is the and I feel that time's a ways to go. All right, and then this, where you going for tomorrow? Okay, so let's look at the chords we're going to need for this one. So we're going to be on an open G chord, right? Third, second, open, open, third, third. Pretty standard, standard chord. Next one, if you look from pretty much from left to right here, you're going to notice that the bass note of all these chords is descending. And what that means is it's going down in tone. We go from a G to an F sharp, right? A D over F sharp, to an F, and then to a C over E, right? And then an E flat. And that's going up an octave, but it's still, the idea is that we're walking down. So, okay, that's sort of the bass line that's going down. Just keep that in mind. So we go from this G, and next is the D over F sharp. So if you can, basically you want to play a D chord, and then either put your thumb here, wrap it around so you're sort of pressing that low E string into the second fret. Okay. Right, or what you can do is with this G, you can basically take your two fingers here and sort of split the fourth and the fifth string are left open, and you have second, open, open, second, third, and then don't press down on the high E string, or don't play it. Right, that's another way to do a D over F sharp. And then next you have an F. I'll also say about that D over F sharp, just play a regular D. If you just want a simple version, just do a D. Okay? I'll talk about strumming in a minute, but first the F chord. Full F is like this, right? If you can't do that, basically you want to just do the middle four strings, third, third, second, first. And I like to mute the sixth and the first string, right? But if you can, get that bass note in there. You even could just not do a bar and do, you know, first, third, third, second, and then just don't play or mute the first and second strings. All right, that's how you can do an F as well, that would work. Next is a C over E. That's a regular C, but we're basically gonna leave this low string open. So play a C chord with all 6 strings. Thickest string is open. Okay, so those are the first 4 chords. Now the tricky one is the E flat major 7th. So the way that the STP guitarist is gonna play this is basically gonna be from 5th string onward. It's gonna be 6th, 5th, 3rd, 3rd, 3rd. I'm sorry, so 6th, 5th, 3rd, 3rd, 3rd. So basically this finger is barring the thinnest 3 strings. I kind of have it barring the 4th and 5th string as well, just for leverage. And then you have your pinky here on the 6th fret, 5th string, and then your ring finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. Now this one's really tough. Once I get my hand there, I can play it, but I find that it's hard to switch to. So what I like to do, if you're having trouble with this one, is try out this shape, which is basically starting on the 6th fret, 6th, 8th, 7th, 8th. This is a major 7th chord shape, and basically whatever you can use this shape anywhere on the fretboard actually, but basically because we're starting on the 6th fret of the 5th string, that's an E flat, right? And that's an E flat major 7th. If you want, you can bar your index finger and play the 6th fret of the high E string, and that would make the chord sound like this. But I don't do that because I want the highest note of this chord to match the highest note of the STP guitarist chord, right? Right? Hear the similarity there? Now this one, I think you're only getting 4 strings, so it's a bit less full than this one. This one has 5 strings. So it's a bit more full, but basically again, I'm taking convenience. This one's easier to switch to, I'm gonna go with it. So now that we have those chords, the strumming for this section is gonna be a down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. And for each of the chords, we're we're going to do that sequence once, right? And we're actually, for the down, down, we're going to strum the chords down, 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 up, down, up. Okay, so down, down, and then release the chord, but keep your hand on the strings and down, up, okay? Okay, so we're going to go through the chords. We're going to do that sequence once for each chord, and then for the E flat major 7th, we're going to do that sequence twice. So here's what that would sound like. Okay, so G, D, F, C over E, E flat, again, and back to the G. Okay, a little trick for that muted strum is lift up your left hand so it's just barely touching the strings, and you also can bring your right hand into the strings down here. So you're getting like a double mute effect. You don't want any of the strings to ring, that's the idea. And a final last little pro tip here is the second time you're playing the E flat major 7th, you can do a quick switch, if you can do it, back to the F before you go back to the G. Okay, so if I were to sing, it would be like, and I feel the time to waste to go. Where you going for tomorrow, right? I kind of got that little F in there. It's a little bit trickier. You got to move faster, and it's tougher. So just want to call that out. But next, let's look at the chorus. So the chorus is nice because we've already learned the 2 chords and the strumming pattern. It's just basically going between F and this E flat major 7. Okay, so that is actually we're going to start on the E flat major 7 in the chord in the lyrics. So. Where you going for tomorrow? Where you going with the mask you found? So you do the strumming pattern twice for each chord. And I feel when the dogs begin to smell her. And was the smell alone? Right? Now let's look at the pre-chorus. So these are totally new chords here, and these are a bit tricky. Basically, what we're going to want to be doing is being on the middle 4 strings only, okay? And we're going to start with what looks like a D, but we're actually not going to play the thinnest string, so it's going to be a D like D5 or D add 5, a power chord D, right? Kind of sounds like this. Right? But the thing is, the other 2 chords we're going to play are this one, which is 3rd fret on the 5th string, and we're going to keep our ring finger on that D, and we're going to sort of mute the 4th string by leaning our finger into it. Okay? I'm calling this a C add 9, which is reminiscent of this. And you can do that. You can do that sort of index finger on the 4th fret, 4th string, 2nd fret, but I like to mute it. And then you have the G over B, which is the same thing. You just put your index finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And again, we're going to be muting that 4th string for consistency. So it's... On the D, it's okay if you kind of get that fifth string open. But you kind of also, there's like merit in keeping the open 4th string as the bass note of that D. Now let's talk about strumming of this, okay? So the strum is a bit tricky. We're going to be a down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. The way I recommend thinking about this is you're going to do a cluster of 4 strums, and then a cluster of 3 strums, 3 strums, and then back to a cluster of 6 strums, right? So 4, 3, 3, 6. And because you're doing those 3 strum clusters, it gets tricky because you're kind of like, you're leaving that nice, 4-count rhythm. You're kind of breaking up the 4-count rhythm. And we're going to switch. We're going to start off on the D5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So the D at 5 to C at 9, G over B, C at 9, D over 5, C at 9, G over B, C at 9, right? And you play it, it sounds like this. And I feel it, and she feels it. Okay, so again, that's the rhythm there is a bit tricky, and the reason that I am starting on a down strum on all the accented notes here, like whenever I switch to a chord in my strumming pattern, is I want that bass note to sound out really strong. Right? Because that's kind of the, I don't know, that's like the groovy spirit that's sort of connecting this whole section, right? All right, so there we have it. Now, if you are in the middle of the song, you're going to go back to the intro, right? Then you're going to start the second verse. And I feel. Okay, but the last part of the song is going to be the refrain. And this is the part where it's going like, within the doors to find her, got time to wait for tomorrow. Okay, so how to play this part. It's similar chords, the same chords by name, but they're going to be played a little bit differently. I think the guitarist is actually using more like power chord shapes. So the G, instead of being like this, would actually be like, right, 3rd fret on the low E string, 5th fret on the 5th string. Okay, that's a power chord, the 1st and the 5th. Now, when I play power chords, I like to usually add the octave with the pinky, so that's 3rd, 5th, 5th. And then sometimes I'll even just put my middle finger down, 3rd, 5th, 5th, 4th. If you want to do like, that's a G major, but you get a full sound, right? And the first 2 chords are basically going from the G down to an F. So if you're doing the power chord, any shape, whether it's 2 strings, 3 strings, or 4 strings, you can go just from down 2 frets, this to this. Okay, that's the F. And then there's a C over E. So basically it's just this chord, but the thinnest 2 or 3 strings. Okay, this one sounds a little bit muddied because you don't, it's like an inverted C. The C is not the bass note, so it doesn't sound as satisfying to the ear. And then next you have this D power chord, 5th string and 4th string on the 5th and 7th fret. And then the E flat power chord, which is 6th and 8th. So a half step away from the D, meaning 1 fret higher, right? And you can do an octave for those as well. Now, let's talk about timing of this. The basic strum would be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? So. Okay, there is a little bit of nuance you can do with the F. I'll explain that in a little bit here. But here's what the tab would look like. So we're going to be on the G, down, up, chop, 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 F. On the 3 and of the F, he's going to do like a very strong up strum. So, and then the C over E. And then for the last part here, we're gonna basically, in spirit, we're just going 4 strums on the E flat, and then 4 strums on the D. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. But to tricky up things a little bit, on that first strum of the D, of the E flat, we're gonna basically slide from that that D up to the E flat. So I'm actually strumming the D once. And the next strum I would normally do, I'm not doing. So it's almost like you're doing down, down, up with your strum. Right? Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So putting it all together, it would sound like this. Okay, if it's tricky, don't worry about the slide on the D and the E flat, and don't worry about the F tricky strumming. Just do it down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then mute, right? So. And you can even get away from the power chords if you want. So that's how you're going to do the refrain, is what I'm calling it here. Again, it's pretty tricky, given that it's different strumming and you want to really get like raw and deep and guttural with those power chords. But that's going to be the last thing you'll need. And then with those, you just follow my notes here and you combine it all and you'll be in good shape. So, with that said, I'll leave it to you. Again, check out the website, playsongnotes.com, for the link to the PDF if you want to sort of print this out or just keep it around on your device to access. And again, thank you for watching this far, and thanks to all of you all who support me. I hope you appreciated this song. I'll say here at the end that I was born in 1980, so when I was in middle school, like Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Green Day, that was the music of my middle school pretty much years, all right? And that's when I first got my guitar. I didn't stick with it when I first got a guitar. I was in 7th grade, tried to learn Green Day and Pearl Jam, and I think the song I felt like I fully learned was like The Man Who Sold the World, like the Nirvana version, and I mainly just learned the scale part of that, right? But I share this because this song was, this is an album I was a big fan of at the time. I never could play any of their stuff. It was just too bizarre, too many chords and everything. But whenever, I don't know, I have a soft spot in me for this style of music, the sort of early 90s grunge stuff. And there's a lot of interesting guitar stuff going on there, I think. It's different than a lot of stuff that I'm really into from the 70s or more modern stuff. But I definitely look forward to checking out some more songs by, I know I want to do Interstate Love Song by STP, and there's a bunch of Pearl Jam songs I'd like to explore as well, and some Weezer and some more Green Day. So all that's coming. If you're a fan of this genre, please let me know. Let me know what songs you want to hear, because I'm always making new lessons, and I like to make lessons for songs that people are into. But thank you very much for watching. I'm going to head off now, y'all. Take care, and share this with a friend. Thanks again. Bye-bye.